So Betsy Ross, the upholsterer who sewed a flag of treason, who is famous today. But how did Betsy Ross become famous? Well, it all begins in the most unlikely of places. It begins with one man. His name is Charles Weisgerber. So get ready. We're going to go back in time to 1892. Welcome to 1892. And Charles, he is a young and hungry artist living here in Philadelphia when one day he reads about a contest. The city of Philadelphia will award an $1,000 prize to the person who paints the best picture of a local historic event, and the winning picture will hang in the Chicago World Fair where millions of people will see it. So Charles, he's thinking, I could sure use $1,000, but what could I paint? So Charles, he picks up his paintbrushes and he begins walking around Philadelphia, the perfect place for historic subjects. Independence Hall, Liberty Bell, Ben Franklin, Franklin, Franklin. No, those are too easy. Charles, he wants something different, something no one has thought of before, something so good it'll win that big prize. Well, in his travels, he comes upon a little place called Munn's Tavern. He goes inside, he sits down, and he begins talking to the tavern owner. There's this big contest, a chance to win a lot of money, but I need a great historic subject to paint. Well, sir, you've come to the right tavern. Did you know that this tavern used to be the upholstery shop of Betsy Ross, and she's the woman who sewed the first American flag? Betsy Ross, huh? Now where have I heard that name before? See? Betsy Ross is not this big household name back in 1892. In fact, the only reason Charles even heard of her is because back in 1870, Betsy Ross's grandson wrote a paper and gave a speech about all the stories Grandma Betsy told the family, including the stories of all the flags she sewed during the Revolution. So Charles, he's thinking, Betsy Ross, huh? You know what? That's my girl. Thank you. So Charles, he gets to work. He gets an enormous canvas that was 9 feet high by 12 feet across. He paints George Ross, Robert Morris, George Washington, and of course, he paints Betsy Ross herself with the 13-star flag draped over her lap. He calls this painting the birth of our nation's flag, and it is spectacular. But Charles, he takes a little artistic license with this masterpiece. After all, guys, Betsy Ross died years before. He can't ask her to pose for him. Also, Charles, he has no idea what Betsy Ross looked like. She never had her picture painted her entire life. So Charles imagines what Betsy would have looked like. Blue eyes, brown hair. Oh, and we've got another problem. Betsy Ross never said that she sat with these 3 famous gentlemen and showed them her finished flag. So Charles simply imagines the event and makes a painting around it. But still, his artistic license pays off. Charles wins the contest. Ooh, yeah. He won that $1,000 prize. His painting got hung in the Pennsylvania Pavilion in Chicago, and Charles becomes a vexillologist. That means someone who studies flags. He loved flags so much, he even names his son Vexillologist Weisgerber. That's Latin for Flag House Weisgerber. Thanks, Dad. He also loves the place where the idea for his painting was born, Munn's Tavern. So he organizes a drive to save it by asking American children to contribute $1 dime to make sure the tavern returns to being the Betsy Ross House. All those dimes add up, And now visitors love seeing the house and hearing Betsy's stories, all because of a contest and a painting and that Vexillologist. Once upon a nation.